Hey there, and welcome to this screencast about how to distribute a page across your OneNote Class Notebook. So in previous videos, we talked about how to access, how to manage, and how to use the content library to kind of build a collection of resources that students can access, but they can't edit. Now comes to, well, what happens if I want to now put things inside of students' notebooks? As we go through the year, there are new documents and you want to put stuff in them. You can absolutely do that with Class Notebook. So first and foremost, everything I can do in the browser or in Teams right here, so let me make that a little bigger, I could do in the desktop app. So first and foremost, to do this, I have to first select an assignment. Now, I started this assignment in the previous videos, but this was kind of just a dummy assignment, and I don't really want to put this across their notebooks. What I do want to do, though, is I want to go to this one. So this SPO, which is a single paragraph outline that I have put in here the same way that I printed over in the previous videos, and it's actually a template that I want students to use. Now, this is something I want to now put over into their notebooks. So I'm going to go to Class Notebook, and it gives me these options right here. Now, I do want to do this in the desktop app. It works the same way. I just like to not have all this noise around. I like to just open it up in here, and boom, it's right there. It's the exact same document. One thing to note, though, before I do this, just realize that when you're working in your OneNote, in your class notebook, this is not an editable document like a Microsoft Word document. It's kind of like an image of it. It's a PDF. It's something that they can't write on, but they can type in the side. They can type right on it. If they double click, they can be like, hey, and drop text boxes in there. And they can also, with the pencil or their finger, write on it. So just know that that's the way that they're going to interact with it. Let me erase that because I don't want to distribute this like that. So you have a couple of options here, and you can see them right up here to distribute the page. I can click this button and it's going to drop down a menu. I can distribute the page, which I want to do this across all of their notebooks, all their sections. So I'm going to do that. But that's what that first one will do. Individual would be if I wanted to just put this in one student's notebook. Let's say it was an extra credit assignment or like something that's going to help them specifically for an assignment they're doing. I'm going to do that. A group would be if I wanted to distribute it. If I wanted to create groups in here, I can put students into different groups and then distribute just into those notebooks. So let's say I was doing like a stations activity or something like that. I could do that. A cross notebook would allow you to, let me actually click on this. It's going to open up all of your notebooks over here that you have. So let's say you have 3 sections of 7th grade English and you don't want to do this process 3 times. You can select the different notebooks that you want and then do a cross notebook section here. But I only have this OneNote team, so I'm not going to do that. Let me actually go through this process because it can be kind of lengthy. So if you are doing this, you don't want to do this like 5 minutes before class starts. You may want to do this a little bit before that, maybe the night before, so that everything distributes appropriately because a lot is happening behind the scenes. So first step is I go to the page. This is what I want to copy over into their notebooks. I'm going to go to distribute page and I'm going to go to distribute page. You're going to see this little menu over here pop up. It'll say distribute page, and it's going to ask you the sections in this notebook you want it to go into. So let's say I'm like, you know what? This is a handout. I want this to be in their handouts. And that's where it's going to be. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to click distribute. It's going to say the pages will continue while you work or close the app. So I don't have to be on this page right now for it to go through. But it helps if it not helps. It'll show you like the progress bar. So right here it says done, so that I know that it's all there. And just to check, let me hit that X, and I'm gonna go look through my navigation, and I want to see if it's in all of their notebooks. So it should be in their handout section. Now I don't see anything yet. Let me pop open Evans, not homework. Handouts. Liam, handouts, Rayusi, handouts. So it's not in their notebooks yet. it does take a little bit of time, even though it said that it was done. It's still kind of working behind the scenes. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pause the video because I don't want to waste your time waiting for this to happen, and I will come back once everything is in there. Okay, I'm back. So what actually I found out was that the distribution happened a lot faster within the Teams environment and through the browser than it did through the desktop version. So I was kind of waiting for it to happen, and I went back and forth, and I was like, what's the problem? And I noticed that it immediately got transferred over to here, which is actually good to know that it kind of worked. And then eventually it did go through the desktop version, as I can see right here. All these things are in there. Now, what I would like to do is I want to kind of show you what this looks like now. So if I go through Ava's, I can see that the SPO handout's right there. If I go into Liam's, I can see the SPOs right there. Evan, I can see the SPO is right there. And you can even see that if you look at Evan's layout, he has class notes, handouts, homework, assessments, and Ava has homework and handouts swapped. If a kid does that accidentally, or you do it accidentally, it's totally fine. Everything will still go in the right spot. And then finally, Rayusi has his in there as well. Now, in Class Notebook, just so I kind of want to cover two other things, is that there is a distribute. Let me actually close these because I don't like when they're open. It gives me visual anxiety. So you can distribute a section. So let's say let me actually open this back up. Let's say I have assessments, homework, handouts, class notes, and throughout the year, you found out that you wanted a folder separate just for your PowerPoint slides, and you wanted to add something in there that was a folder for PowerPoint slides and distribute that out. You can easily distribute a section the same way you distribute a page. You go to distribute new section, you would title it, and you would go through a very similar distribution process. So let's say I wanted to call it PowerPoint. And I would distribute it out that way. It would still take some time, but you can do it that way. If you wanted to distribute again, just certain sections to a certain group, you would do things that way. You can always copy something from the content library. So if you are, let's say, in a kid's notebook and you were like, hey, this person did something really good on their handout, I want to put it inside of the content library, I could just quickly click that, and it's going to allow me to copy it to the content library again in a similar way that the other ones did, and I can put it in whichever folder. So let's say I'm like, okay, I want to put this into class notes, or I can put it into both. I can copy that over to there, and I could also choose which content library if I wanted to go multi, but I'm just going to leave that there. I'm going to briefly go over this review student work because you have the ability to, the kids will have the ability to kind of mark what they want to turn into you through Teams if they're, not through Teams, through OneNote Class Notebook, and it will allow you to review their work if there's review there, if there's work there, and you can go through the kids' notebooks this way and kind of see what they're turning in. Now you can see the PowerPoint things there as well. What I do want to say about this is the point where there's some cross kind of connection with Teams, or not cross connection, where they're kind of stepping on each other's toes, because you can run a class through Class Notebook and have kids turn in work. But if you've already established Teams and they're turning in assignments that way, it might get really confusing if you're like, hey, turn it in on OneNote, or hey, turn it in on Teams. And Microsoft hasn't yet enabled you to turn something in on your OneNote into a Teams assignment. I believe that feature is coming. It's just not there yet. But I believe it's coming. From everything that they've said, rumors, and my interactions with people on the Microsoft team through Twitter, that is a feature that they're working on, and I think it'll probably happen next year, but just know that it can't do that as of this recording. So I would say at this point, these are the biggest things to go over in Microsoft OneNote. In terms of accessing, in terms of managing, but what I would recommend most before using this, before making this a classroom protocol, is really think about what is your purpose of using OneNote. Do you want the kids to do work in here in their sections? If you do, awesome. If you don't, you don't need to do that. You can use Teams and the way you've been doing it. Do you want this to be a place where you can have the kids access notes that only you're putting out there and it's just an easy way to do it? Then also that's a great accompaniment to Teams, and I imagine a lot of people will use it that way. You can do it both ways. It really just comes down to what your goals are in your class and your comfortability, and what you want your students to do and how you want them to work digitally within your classroom environment. So I hope this has helped. And if you have any other questions about this process, anything else within OneNote, anything else you are interested in learning, please do not hesitate to ask. This is an amazing program. Can be a little confusing when you first start to do it, but it's also something that I think is really kind of worth it if you dig deep in it and you spend some time having your classroom and your students get really acquainted with it. I hope this has helped. Take care.